Hello, welcome back. So, in the previous part, we have seen how Euler has given us the formula to get the critical value, critical load formula. So, critical load formula is basically the formula at which the buckling will occur. And with that formula, we have seen the critical buckling stress, and the critical buckling stress. We have seen a new term which was the slenderness ratio. So now, in the Euler formula, we have seen that Euler has considered his column as ideal column, which has no flaws and it is very homogeneous, isotropical. But in real, if we try to find out the strength of column or buckling strength of the column, then it is very difficult to use that formula. And practically, column has many flaws, and those features that Euler has considered may not fulfill our requirement. So we will first of all see what are the various factors that actually affect the compression member strength. So first is the material of the property. Well, the material of the property means the material may not be homogeneous, and because of that, the strength that is given by the formula of Euler, I mean, actual strength will be less. Similarly, the length of member is also a part which actually affects the compression member. This we have seen in the formula also. Cross-sectional configuration, what kind of cross-section of member is, whether it is I section or L section or T section or C section or the circular section or square section. So whatever cross-section is, so cross-section is also one part which affects the compression, which affects the strength of compression member. Then the support conditions. Support conditions are also one of the factor with which the strength of member affects. Well, support of member means how this member. I mean, if I say that this is the column, and at the ends, how column is being held. If it is fixed, if it is free, or if it is hinged. So this end condition is also very important to determine the strength. Then the next thing is imperfection. Well, Euler has considered that his column will be ideal column and it will not be having any imperfection, but in practical, column has some imperfection also. So we will see that in more detail what is imperfection. Another very important factor is residual stresses. Well, these residual stresses actually left in the steel while manufacturing. Well, in the manufacturing of the steel, when we uh, when we cool the steel sections, so what happens is if there is uneven cooling, so because of uneven cooling, the sections may have some stresses. So because of the uneven cooling, some part may contract while the other part which is cooling slowly as compared to the other part, it may have, I mean, such kind of deviation may occur in case if there is uneven cooling. So residual stress may occur. So residual stresses are actually the stresses which are already present in the member. So if we talk about the imperfection, well, imperfection actually means that material may not be isotropic. Material may not be isotropic or it may not be homogeneous. While in case of Euler column, we have considered that column material is homogeneous and isotropic, but in real column, there are possibility that it may not be isotropic, it may not be homogeneous, and because of that, the strength of member, the strength curve that is being developed using the Euler theory, it may not work. Similarly, the geometric variation means in the Euler column, we have considered that initially the member is straight, but it may not be always possible that in the real column it will always straight. It may have some rough texture, or it may have some crookedness in the initial stage. So that thing will affect the strength of member. So because of that, because of these imperfection, because of these problem, uh, the strength curve that I have discussed in the sorry, one more thing that I have to discuss. Another important thing is eccentricity of the load. Well, in case of uh, Euler column, we have considered that there is no eccentricity of the load, but in real, uh, load may not pass through the centroidal axis of column always. So there may be some eccentricity of the load also. So because of the eccentricity, the buckling strength of the column will be decreased. So because of that, the curve that we have given, the strength curve that we have seen in the previous part, this one, this curve. So this curve will not be perfect because this curve is based on various assumptions that may not be real in case of the real column. And because of that, uh, some scientists, some organization has conducted some experiments on the buckling of the column, and based on those experiments, the curve that they have developed, they were different curves, and those different curves, I mean those were at least 1,000 curves, but those 1,000 curves are actually converted into four category of the curve. So in this case you can see this is the curve that is being developed by the Euler column theory, but in the IS code also this curve is being used because this curve is based on the realistic approach and they are for the real column. So now you can see how different these curves are from the ideal curve. So, so these curves are named as ABCD. So these ABCD are basically the buckling class, and this buckling class is dependent on the cross-sectional shapes of the member. So whether there may be L section or C section or I section, they may have different buckling class. So we will see that how those members are being classified in terms of the buckling. So based on the class, these curves are being used to calculate the critical stress. So that the critical stress that we have, that Euler theory has given, this critical stress will be different as per this formula. And this critical stress in our IS code, it is being represented by FCD. So we will see more about it in the next slide. So basically, as I said that there are so many flows, and in the real column, it is not possible to use that single curve, and because of that, there may be multiple curve approach. So there were actually some approaches that is being generated to design the column or to get the design strength of the column. So those approach are formula based on maximum strength of the column, formula based on the yield strength, I mean yield limit state. So this is the approach, Perry-Robertson formula. So this approach is being adopted by our IS code. So all the formula on design of compression member given by, given in the IS code, they are based on this approach. Other approach was a tangent modulus theory, then empirical formula by Merchant Rankine formula. The previous version of our IS code, it was based on this formula. So IS 800 1984. So this version of the code was actually based on this theory. And our current version of the IS code, it is based on uh, this theory. So the second approach is based in our latest code, while the fourth approach was based in our previous version of the code. So now the formula that we will see, it will be based on this theory. So we don't need to discuss much about this theory because I am just introducing that which approach we are using, or which theoretical approach we are using in our formula. So as here also it is being mentioned that in the IS code, Indian Standard 800 2007, it has adopted the multiple column curve. that we have seen in the previous diagram, which is based on the Perry-Robertson theory. So the curve that I have shown you in the previous slide, those four curves, so that is depends, I mean, that is based on Perry-Robertson theory, and it is shown in the figure in the previous slide also, and the same I will show you in the next slide. And this is basically similar to the British code. So in the British code also, the same approach is being followed, that is of Perry-Robertson formula. So now we can say that this curve is being used in our IS code, and the same diagram I have taken from the IS code. So now we will talk about the design strength of the compression member. Now we will see how do we find out the design strength of compression member. So in any member, I mean in any case, this condition should be followed. Well, P is the factored compressive load. And PD is the design strength. So ideally, factored compressive load, which is the external load which will be applied on the compression member, it should always be less than the design strength of the member. Then only the member will sustain, will be able to carry the load. So now we will see how do we find out the PD. Well, PD is basically the product of AE into FCD. AE is the effective cross-sectional area of the compression member, and FCD is the compressive stress. So we will see more about it. How do we find out FCD? AE is the effective sectional area. So if you go to this clause, all these formulas are given in the IS code. FCD is called design compressive stress of axially loaded compressive member. And FCD can be, as per this clause, FCD can be calculated using this formula. So FCD is this value, or in short we can write, if we multiply, so this whole value is basically this, I am representing this with this letter. So this is the Greek letter which is called chi. So chi multiplied by Fy by gamma m naught. So this value should be less than this value. So that is the case in this. So now I can say that this FCD can be compared by sigma CR. So sigma CR was given by the Euler, but sigma CR is not applicable here because sigma CR was given in case of ideal column, but the concept, the theory is same. I mean the approach is same. So I'm using here FCD in place of sigma CR because FCD is for the real column. Sigma CR is for the ideal column. So that is why we are using FCD, and because of that, because we are using the Perry-Robertson theory. So according to Robertson theory, the formula to calculate the FCD value will be this one. While sigma CR value was given by the Euler, but based on that approach, the formula further derived, and based on the experimental data, so based on that, this formula we arrived at. Now what is phi, what is lambda? Lambda is slenderness ratio. How do we find out phi value? We will see that in the next page. So phi can be calculated by using this formula. In this 0.5 bracket 1 plus alpha lambda minus 0.2 whole plus lambda square. So with this we can calculate the value of phi. Then lambda can be calculated using this relationship. This lambda is basically the non-dimensional form. So we have seen the non-dimensional form of the strength curve in the previous part. So you can refer to that. So based on that, we can find out this value. So this FCC is basically called the Euler buckling stress. So as I said, that Euler theory will be applicable here also, but it will be in parts, because Euler theory is mainly applicable to ideal column, in some cases, in some part, we are using the concept, the same concept we are using, but we are using that for the real column. So in this case, Euler buckling stress can be calculated, given by this. So this is again given in the IS code. So here KL by R, KL is called the effective length that we have seen in the previous part. KL by R is the effective slenderness ratio. And the alpha that we use to calculate the value of phi. So alpha is called the imperfection factor. And in the table 7 of IS code, it is being given. So alpha depends on the buckling class, whether the section belong to A class, B class, C class, D class. So based on that, we find out the alpha value. And this chi value, this is called the stress reduction factor for different buckling class and slenderness ratio and yield stress. We will use, when we use these formulas in the numerical, then it will be more it will be more clear to you. Now I'm just introducing what relation is being used to calculate or to design the strength of to design the compression member. So the value of chi is given here, and in this gamma m naught is partial safety factor, we already know that. And as per table 7, we can find out the value of alpha, which is imperfection factor. So buckling class A for A class, B class, C class. So all these values are given in IS code in this table. So now in this case, so stress reduction factor, that is chi, the value of this chi value, chi value is given in the IS code also. So it is being given in the table. So you can see that. So table 8a belongs to this stress reduction factor. So we have seen the formula, how these values are we arrived at. So directly in the IS code it is being given. So this KL by R, this is the slenderness ratio. So if we get to know the value of KL and R, we can find out the lambda value. And if we, in the x-axis we see, in the first row we see these are the grade of the plate. So generally we use this grade. So based on the slenderness ratio, we can find out the value of this chi. And then using this value, we can find out the value of FCD. Also, the value of FCD is given directly in the table also. So I am showing you the table. It is not the IS code table, but I will show you IS code table also. So this FCD value is again depends on the curve also, which curve our section belongs to. And this curve is basically showing the buckling class of the section. And it depends on the cross-sectional dimension of the, or cross-sectional shapes of the member. So if we know the lambda value, we can easily find out the FCD value. So all we will understand when we solve the numerical, how do we select that value. Now coming to the buckling class, well, how do we actually classify any particular section that it will belong to buckling class Z, or buckling class A, B, C. So like here in this case, if we use I section, and in the diagram you can see this is the y-axis and this is the z-axis. I am just showing you, for example, this is a compression member. If the load is applying like this, so if it, this is say x-axis and this is say y-axis. So if it is buckling like this, so we will say that it is buckling along x-axis. Similarly, if it is buckling like this, then we will say that it is buckling along y axis. So this is how we classify which axis, I mean along which axis any member is buckling. So in this case, you can see if we look at the first I section, and these are the limits which is being defined like this, that if h by bf is greater than 1.2 and the thickness of flange which is represented by tf you can see here. So if tf is less than or equals to 40, then in that case the buckling may occur along z axis, along y axis. And if it is buckling along the z axis, then the buckling class will be a. If it is buckling along y axis, then the buckling class will be b. So all these things we will see when we will solve the problem. Then we will we will select, we will try to find out which buckling class our section belongs to. But this table is again given in the is code. So table, from the table 10 we can find out which, for any section, if we are using whether it is angle section or I section or C section, we can easily find out which class they belongs to. So like in the case of I section, similarly in case of welded I section, in case of hollow pipe section or hollow rectangular or square section. So for them, like in this case, it shows that buckling can occur along any axis. It may be along x axis, y axis, or z axis. So in that case, it belongs to class A. Similarly, if it is cold form, it belongs to class B. So all these cases are given for different sections. Similarly, in this case, it shows that if we are making welded box section, like with the plates, if we make such box section, then how do we define which buckling class it may be? So in the table, it shows that it may buckle along any class, any axis, and buckling class in this case will be B. Similarly, if we use thick welds and B by TF is less than 30, H by TW is less than 30, here you can see this is the H value, this is the TW, TF, so this is Z axis, Y axis, so all the dimensions are given here. So based on that comparison, we can classify which class any particular section belongs to. Similarly, in case of angle or channel section, T section, so this is how we find out the buckling class. Then at last, we also check the allowable slenderness ratio. So in any case, these are the different cases of tension, the compression member. And it says like if a compression member is carrying a load which results from the dead load and superimposed load. So in that case, lambda value should not exceed 180. Similarly, there are different cases which are being mentioned, and maximum slenderness ratio is 350. Maximum allowable is 350 in this particular case. So all these cases we will see then when we will design the compression member. Okay. So that was the theory of compression member we have seen. Thank you.